Okay, welcome back to Ask RIPP, where we answer your questions. Today we're doing the top 5 things to look out for when you're purchasing a used supercharger. Number 1, this is the worst supercharger in the world. You know why? Because there's people out there who do some scams. And scams mean you might get a power steering pump instead of a supercharger, which is an actual thing that happened to a client who sent it to us to check it out. So be careful, there's people who scam. Which leads us into number 2, which is very, very easy. It's the serial number, which is on every RIPP supercharger kit since the beginning of time. On the top of the supercharger, there is a tag with the RIPP logo, and underneath there's a serial number. Always ask for the serial number, send it to our offices, and we can check the legacy of that particular supercharger. So, serial number. Number 3, missing parts. Now, it's important to understand that RIPP provides a full system. The system is complete and comes with every bolt that you need to make that system work on your vehicle, regardless of the vehicle that you are purchasing it for. So a lot of times there's people who will sell you something not even knowing there's things missing. A lot of things that could be missing are injectors, plugs, map sensor, hardware, could be pipes. The best thing to do is lay out the kit on the floor, take a picture of the system, and send it to our offices and say that you're looking at buying this used system. Is there anything missing? We could put a cost analysis together for you with all the parts that are missing, and you can present that to the seller, and they can help you determine whether or not it's worth purchasing at the seller's price. Number 4. Now, there are components in a RIPP supercharger that can be reused for a long period of time, even from car to car. However, there are some components that need to be replaced as well. But let's go over the ones that can be reused very easily. Piping, so long as it's not damaged and there's no holes in it, no problem. Couplers, that's a big one. This coupler here is a good example of a coupler that has been cut by a clamp. Now, you won't see that there's a boost leak, but this has gone all the way through in a little pinch. When it swells up, it'll leak some of your boost out, and that won't really necessarily be a good thing. And also, there are signs of it rubbing against the car as well. So couplers need to be inspected, but they can be reused. Hoses and fittings, typically these don't wear out, but they could get dry rotted over time, so you want to inspect those as well. Things like tensioners and aluminum billet parts, again, they need to be inspected. Personally, I would replace a tensioner. Other things that need to be replaced need to be, you need to determine them based on the amount of miles that you've driven on them. So for example, if an injector has gone 150,000 miles, you need to sort of come to grips with the fact that those have really done a lot of work already, and you might want to replace those. Same thing goes with the map sensor. For example, the map sensor could have cycled 1 million times over, if not 2 million times, when it's reading all those little vacuum points. And they can go out of spec every once in a while, so keep an eye out for that. So number 5. This is really a list of components that we feel should just be upgraded or replaced with new when you're looking to have a good experience or like new experience with your used supercharger kit, okay? So the air filter, for example, has already gone millions of miles. We would put a fresh one on. For those of you that off-road in our Jeep clients, for example, you could keep the old one for when you go off-road and keep the new one for when you're going to come back home. So I would do that swap out. It's very easy to do. You've got things like belts. I wouldn't reuse a used belt. They're probably been cycled, and they've been stretched at this point and been pushed by the tensioner too much. So I would put a brand new belt on. Idlers. Now, idlers on all aspects are consumable items, the factory one and also the one that we provide you. Again, I would take the used ones off, keep them as spares just in case you need to replace them, and put the new ones on for a new experience. These, again, are all available on our website, and we can walk you through this. It's really, really easy. Injectors, map sensor, those two things we went over in terms of replaceable items. Again, they've been cycled millions of times, and you should determine that based on the amount of miles the kit allegedly has, because you don't want to really come into like a loss of power because of an injector. It's the hardest thing to install, so you want to do that right the first time. And lastly, the supercharger oil. This gets overlooked quite a bit. The supercharger is self-contained. That means it needs oil every once in a while. So make sure that you order some oil when you purchase any of these replacement parts here. It's always good to have extra as opposed to having less or needing to scurry around and having to find it, because you're not going to find it. It's very proprietary to the component itself. Okay, bonus question. The tune. That's a big one. To the right of the screen here, you're going to see a bunch of components. We have HP tuners, Diablo, some injectors, and a PCM. This gets overlooked quite a bit, so I wanted to make it its own thing, okay? In 2015 in newer vehicles, they require PCMs to be unlocked. That means you need to send your PCM out for a service. A lot of times, people will buy a second PCM and have that unlocked. That way they don't have any downtime. If the seller provides you with the secondary PCM, you're going to have to send that out to be unlocked and pay for that service. That's not going to come with it, so just account for that as well. 2018 and newer Mopar vehicles will also need some bypass cables. That needs to be provided with it as well. And lastly, it's the tune. Not all tunes are the same, so you can't just use one, and done. You're going to have to get your own. Again, our offices can guide you through this. It's a very simple process, so just put your trust in us and we'll help you get the vehicle tuned properly for our components. And it's important that it has our components, and they're going to make you check for them. Okay, so we've gone over a lot of information over here, and you may be looking at a used system and you want to know where to start. Well, no worries. You can go to our main menu on our website and drop down and look for the tab that says Refurbish Services. There, we basically take over for you, and you can follow a guideline as to the services that we offer for buying used systems and what you should be looking out for too. At that point, we can navigate, fill in all the blanks for you, and you can buy with a little bit more confidence. So I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough buying a used system. If there's something we missed, please put it in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe, because that really does help us know that we're doing a good job for you. And again, thanks for stopping by.